Okay, so welcome to the first hopefully many 360 walks in the National Forest, and today I'm doing one of my favourite walks, which is Barton through to Dunstall. And I've just left the car park. There is a reasonable sized car park beside the village hall, and you can park there free for 4 hours, which is plenty of time to have a little look around. And what we're going to do today is we are going to walk from Barton, across the brow of the hill, over into Dunstall, do a little circular track, and then come back again. And there's loads to see. So where we're heading for now is called the Dunstall estate, although it is the Barton side. And there'll be loads of people, well, there's usually loads of people walking here, but it's a weekday, it's a little bit quiet. I've seen some dog walkers already, but normally this side is a bit busier. Across the brow of the hill, Dunstall side, a little bit quieter. So here we have a map, and we can see that it's largely open access land, which is brilliant. There's a few paths through, you can see where people walk. It's fairly difficult to get lost, I'd say. And what's really nice, the landowners here have put in loads of permissive paths. If you look on an Ordnance Survey map, it's all open access, so you can stroll pretty freely really, but I'm going to take a route that I often take, up and over, through into Dunstall, and back again. Now there are sometimes sheep and livestock on the field, more often sheep actually. So we need to make sure that the gates are closed. And as we walk into this main field here, you'll just see the expanse of land. And for me, this feels like, you know, some of the best quality National Trust land. And if you look across, just see the colours and the wide open space. Of course, made even more beautiful on a day like this. So we'll go for a walk. I don't know how far it is. I should know, I've walked this a lot. But timing it on my watch, so we will see. I'll let you know at the end. So at the moment you can see we got this whole landscape to ourselves, which is brilliant. There's something about green spaces that, I don't know, they just good for the soul, I guess, really. You always feel better when you've been out in them, I think. So we're climbing slightly now. It's quite a gentle gradient up towards Smith Hills. And if we just take a moment to look around, you know, there are a couple of people around and about, but beautiful and peaceful. Just hear bird song, and these dandelions are interesting, aren't they? Because if they were in my garden, I'd probably be complaining about them a little bit, which is bad really, because they're great for biodiversity, aren't they? And they look really beautiful in this setting. So, coming up to a gate. These gates are all really well maintained on this estate. And we can see there's National Forest circuit signs here. So, this bit here never used to be forested, and they've done really well at planting them. They've planted loads of trees actually on this estate, which of course is very similar to a lot of other National Forest sites. this path can get a little bit muddy at times. It's been quite dry, isn't it, lately, so it's not too bad. So, up on the brow of the hill now. So they call this area Smith Hills. And we're going to just descend through. But if you look down here, there's a path that goes right the way through, across the brow of the hill. We're going to go down. So we're crossing really from the kind of Barton side to the Dunstall side. You get some cracking views from this gate. Just wait till you see this. Again, it can get a bit muddy here. You can see here where it has been drying up a bit now. Okay, so as we come out here, beautiful view. Another new gate. Yeah, very well maintained, this estate. They really do seem to welcome walkers, which is lovely. So, I really love this landscape, and it's one of my favourite walks really. I think if you've never walked here before, you should definitely come do this route. Straightforward, nice and easy. So we're heading over now through to Dunstall, and in a second you'll be able to see the church, St Mary's. There it is, just popping out behind the tree. Beautiful church. That church is Grade 2 star listed. So Grade 2 listed buildings, probably familiar with, there's lots of them around the area. Grade 1 listed buildings are really rare, and then Grade 2 star are sort of like better than Grade 2, but not quite Grade 1. So they're exceptional quality buildings. So we're coming down to the end of this field now, and then you just cross over this little lane into the next one. There's often some little lambs actually around. I think we might be a bit late this year, but I can see some in that field, and you'll have seen some in this field as well. Dunstall's quite well known for farming, the Dunstall estate, because they farm very sustainably. So they're known as a centre of excellence for sustainable farming, and they have a lot of sheep. They have some pedigree Texels, and I think it's around 700 breeding ewes, mainly sort of mules. So there are a lot of sheep around. We'll come back down that lane in a minute. We'll do a big sort of circular lap. But through this one first. Again, the paths are really well signposted. And there they are, some little lambs. All numbered, of course, to make sure we know which lambs belong to which ewe. You can hear them. I wonder if you can hear them through this. One calling for its mum there. So we're coming up to the farmhouse now that belongs to the hall, or it did belong to the hall rather. I think the two were separated a while ago, but very grand farmhouse. Beautiful walled garden, stable blocks. Farmhouse is Grade 2 listed. I remember about, 10-15 years ago, it wasn't lived in, and it was not derelict as such, but certainly not looking like it does now. and the landowners rerouted the footpath. So the footpath used to go through the barns over there, and you could actually have a little look in the walled garden. You get right up to the house, or close to it anyway. You know, the path ran really close by, which I think is why they applied to have it moved, because obviously if you're going to live in it, you probably want your privacy. But yeah, the walled garden was right kind of at the side of the footpath, as were the that stable block area there. But now it's the offices for the Dunstall estate. There's often horses in this field. You can see the chewed fences. And when they rerouted the footpath, so it kind of used to go, I think it was where that gate is over there. So really close to all the buildings, you know, you could get quite close to them without leaving the footpath. But they planted all of these trees, and they were quite small. I reckon it's only about 15 years ago, and look at them now. Beautiful, especially at this time of year. That blossom is a lovely colour. So leaving this field, again another very well maintained gate. Again, well marked footpath. It's just a really nice place to walk. We've walked just over a mile at this point, 1.1 miles. Been walking for half an hour at a leisurely pace. Don't really do fast walking. So you can carry on straight along there. There's a public footpath through that field. If you keep going up the other side, it takes you up onto the ridge. Much longer walks you can do. There's the Dunstall estate offices. They call that the Old Hall. The Old Hall, the farmhouse, the Old Hall, whatever you wish to call it, was built around the early 19th century. So it is quite old. I think a similar time, looking on English Heritage website, I think a similar time to the main Dunstall Hall. So we're coming up to the road here, but it's not a busy road, so we can walk along it quite safely. And we're not going to be on it for long. We'll get about as far as the church and then double back on ourselves and head back towards Barton. But you can go much further. Some really old trees as well, look. You get a lot of owls around here at night. There you go, just as I say, no cars pass, one passes by. you don't get many down here. And there's a nice view of the church spire from here. Look, you can just see it poking up out of the hillside. And I look back across where we've been, so if we just stop here a minute and look over. You can see the pylon in the distance. We walk beneath that. And the hills across the brow, that's Smith Hills. With it still being a working estate, I think it's managed really well, and they don't have excessive development that we're seeing in many other places. They don't even have street lights here actually, it's really dark at night. But a great place to spot owls. Another car coming, just stand to one side. So we've had a few auroras recently, haven't we? They're they've come a bit further south. And last year I came to Dunstall Church to photograph one, and it looked amazing. The phones bring out the colours more, of course, don't they, than what you can see with the naked eye. But with the church spire behind it, it did look really cool. So we're going to go right in a minute. But if for a moment we just take a look up there, there's the church. And there's also a little school hall there, also a listed building, actually grade 2 listed, that one. And if you walk further past the church, you'll come to the old hall. Further past that, there's a deer park, and you can walk through it. It's a public footpath through it. So we are now about to go into this field. Again, there are more lambs in the field, so we must be careful with the gate. And this is a lovely little route, this is, because look at the tree-lined avenue that you walk down here. And you can see it's not a particularly long route, really. 2 or 3 miles, it's about that mile limit, really. You see the path over there, and you can see the walled garden, so that's where we've just been, so it'd be difficult to get lost here, really. Tell it's a warm day. The sheep and the lambs are all sheltering under the shade of the trees, along with some geese. The nice thing about walking in Dunstall, actually, is they don't often have cows in the field. Because cows make me a bit anxious. They're usually sheep in the fields around here. Look across to the left over there, we're not far from Burton really, you can see the warehouses of the A38. So the bit we're coming up to now, there's quite a big pond in here, you can probably hear the geese. There always used to be black swans in it, I don't know whether there still are, we'll have a little look. Here it is, you can generally get through and have a little look at what's going on. Here we go, a little path through. How idyllic is that? Beautiful. And then this is the path that we crossed earlier. See the bluebells? in the wood there. So this is the point that we were at before. We crossed this little lane from one field into another, and we're just going to go left. And if we go left, back up to Smith's Hills, over the top, and back again. And we're on about 1.8 miles now, so not too far. I've been out for about an hour, but I've also been fiddling around with gadgets and tech, so it's probably nearer to 40 minutes, 45 minutes really. There's not a cloud in the sky today, it's beautiful. And all you can hear is birds and lambs and geese and me wittering on. I have to be honest, I'm not sure how many people will want to watch these kinds of walks. You'll probably know that I did the silent walks, the weekly walks in the National Forest, a year's worth of them, where I just walk silently, one foot in front of the other, just recording what I saw. And a couple of people have said, why don't you narrate them? And I thought, well, who wants to listen to me going on? But you know, maybe it's quite nice to be guided through a walk. We'll see, won't we? I think the idea behind the weekly walks really was that, you know, some people can't get out into the countryside, and if I ever get to that point, I think it would drive me insane really. I do like to see green spaces. I think they're really powerful. And I do need to get out into a field at least once a week and have a little walk. But I think like virtual access to green space can be quite valuable too. Hello, you're looking at me. These lambs look quite chunky in this field. I suspect these were some of the firstborn. Those two are still tucked up to their mum. They get a bit braver, of course, don't they, as they get a bit older. They start charging around in packs. So this area here is a footpath through. I don't think this bit's open access. The Dunstall side, I think you need to follow the paths, and it's not always easy. I think I'm slightly off it. You can kind of see it, the line in the grass, but I'm pretty sure the landowner isn't going to worry too much if you can't quite see where the path is, as long as you're trying to follow it and not go in other places. So there is this kind of line of pylons that goes through this bit of the estate, which is a little bit of a shame. But I suppose that's proximity to the old Drakelow power station for you really, and we do need power, don't we? Like an army of pylons. But otherwise, again, look at that view in front. Absolutely beautiful. And to the right there, that's the footpath that I was telling you about. It goes through the top of Smith Hills. but I have to be honest, I'm not keen on it when I'm on my own. It goes on for quite a bit and it's a bit isolated. You feel like you're in the middle of nowhere when you're up on there. So I don't tend to walk that bit when I'm on my own. Although it is really beautiful. So it's worth doing. And that brings you out on the Barton side when you cut out of there in the open access land. So you can generally walk where you like when you get the other side of that. And I do think it's hard to get lost. You can often see the church spire of Barton. It's bounded by roads anyway. Eventually you'd come to the road between Berkeley and Little India. Of course that way kind of leads down to, if you keep going over there as well, that leads to Mosey Mere, which is also quite nice. Nice little walks through the woodlands there. I mean, the National Forest is great, isn't it? Because we've got all these really good footpaths. We've got some really nice landowners that open up extra paths rather than just the public footpaths that they legally have to keep open. And that's really nice. So a little bit of an incline here, because again we're heading up to that brow of the hill, the kind of ridge of land that separates Barton from Dunstall. Of course this walk's spring, so just a few leaves on the trees, dappled shade. But that gets a lot thicker in the height of summer. It's a good walk for kids. There's a few little stick dens and stuff that people have built in there. So we can see down to Barton there, and again there's that what goes across the brow of the hill. So we're coming down the other side again, and we're going to come into the big field behind Barton. And again, this is all open access land this side. And it's worth having a little wander up actually. The route I'm going to take you to will go straight back to the car park. Keep it simple today. But if you're going to come here and you quite like a bit of a long walk and you don't mind being out for a bit longer, definitely have a little explore. You can see people kind of make paths through as well. Little routes where a lot of people walk, little gaps in the fences where you can get through. They often call them desire paths, don't they? The places where people want to walk, they create little paths through. Let's stop here and take a photo. Beautiful. So there's a little walk over there as well. There's a couple of gates. That takes you through up to near the cricket club. can't remember which one's the public footpath now. There's a lady walking through it with a dog earlier. So now we're rounding the bend, and Barton starts to come into view. Never too far away from somewhere that you can recognise on this walk. Because there's not many people here, it feels like you're in the middle of nowhere. I love this little signpost here. In some respects, not really necessary, but isn't it beautiful? It's just nicely designed. I don't actually know what it says on it because most people that walk around here know where they're walking, so probably wouldn't take too much notice. Oh, it's just showing you bridleways and footpaths. But as soon as it's open access, you can walk pretty much anywhere. I don't know about the rules for bridleways. There are bits where you can't go, so there's a sign over there that says no access. So just following the trail back into the village now. It'll bring you up by the car park where we started. Where you've got a car if you need a drink, or a pub. You've got a toilet, public toilet. And parking for 4 hours. And I've only been about an hour and a quarter, not long. So you've got plenty of time really to have a good look around. So how far have I walked now? 2.51 miles. By the time I get back to the car park, 2.7, something like that. But you can see you can cut it short, you know, you don't have to do the big loop that I've just done. You can make it shorter, you can make it longer. I think the important thing really is just get out and get some green and some fresh air. I'll try and do some more of these 360 walks because I think there's so many nice places in the National Forest. And some people have said to me, you know, how do you know where to walk? How do you know where to go? Which makes me think maybe, I take for granted that people know all these routes, maybe people don't. So, yeah, I'm going to film a few of my favourite routes. I don't think I'll, well, I definitely won't do as many as the weekly walks because these will take a little bit of editing. But, yeah. Maybe if you click on the YouTube channel, the little subscription thing, I think it tells you when there's a new video out. And I'll try and put them on that Facebook page as well. So the Walking in the National Forest Facebook page. And if you're interested, it might show you some new routes to walk. And if you're not, and you've heard quite enough of me wittering on to myself, then fair enough. Okay, I'm gonna turn off now, so thank you for joining me, and hopefully see you again on another route.